Hey, good morning, guys. How you doing this morning? Thought I'd bring you to another expedition of mine. This is a Marling Building Components. This is between Stoughton and Edgerton, Wisconsin. It's a place I used to work at, so I'm able to come here and they had the doors wide open, and I passed this place up once before, and I got thinking, I says, this would make a good video. Because this is a place I used to work at, and it's abandoned now, and it's wide open. So I figured it'd be a good time to come up here and show you guys what I used to do when I built roof trusses, because this was an old roof truss plant at that time. And they were in business for quite a while. And after I quit, I never kept track of it anymore. And I really don't know how long it took until they closed this plant down. I really don't know. But I adventured off back in that time. I worked for this place first, and then I left here after a year because I didn't really care for it that much, because it was just building regular trusses. I like to build trusses that, when I used to own my own truss plant, we were involved in commercial stuff, and it was a lot more complicated and more of a challenge, and I liked that better. So the only thing I could do is I could move on, and I went to Cherry Valley, Illinois, and I worked for them guys, and worked for them for about a year or so, I think it was there too, and it got to be too much of a long drive. And we were making $7 an hour back then, and to me that wasn't enough to suit my needs, so I needed something closer to home. So then I ended up working part-time for the city on a municipality, and after doing that, I stuck it out as much as I could there part-time, and then you get laid off in the winter, and kept talking to them, see if I could get in full-time, and that's what happened. I actually got in full-time later on, and I lasted there until I retired. So I was there for 30 years. It's the best thing that ever happened. So that's my life, and so now I'm going to take you through this building and reminisce a little bit and show you what all the different areas that it pertained to, and what they all did in there. They made 3 different items. They made roof trusses, they made pre-hung doors, only steel doors though. They didn't make the interior doors. It was just the steel doors, if I remember right. I really don't even know. I think they did do pre-hung doors, for the interior, now that I think about it. But I don't know, I'm going to just go with the steel door, because I don't remember too much about that. It's been so long. I mean, that's 30 years ago. So I'll take you through the building, and we'll step through there and show you my memories. So let's get on with it. All right. Okay, we're going to enter the building now. Give you an overview of what we're going to look at. This is where I used to work back in 86, I believe it was. First place I'm going to take you is over by the office. Ooh, we still got a desk here. That's kind of nice. See that? Little evidence left behind. Over here is where you came in the entrance. You can see the door. And then there's a couple rooms back here. Kind of glad you got the studs out, all uncovered, so you can see through here. This is where the area was where the blueprinting was done and the layouts of the trusses were done. I think they had a small computer back in 86. It wasn't nothing to brag about. Nothing like they got today. Roof trusses today are built very easily. Everything's computerized. You can have anybody run the saw. The jigs are all automatic. Very simple. But back in '86, you had to do everything manually. Here's the room here where the break room was. Pretty dark in here. There's not enough light to see, but we came in here and had our break, ate our lunch, had our morning break. Had quite a few guys. I think we had like 10 guys, something like that. So it wasn't a very big room in here. It was pretty crowded. So some of us come out here, and you see that back wall there? Used to be a bench on that wall, and with tools underneath it, everything you needed. And then a lot of times there'd be 4 of us sitting on there taking our lunch break. I remember them days. But give you a little view of the area. There's not a lot in here left anymore. But up on the ceiling up there, there's an I-beam left over. That's where the gantry system was. That's where the press had come down. It was all a big crane type lift. It was like, I don't know how to explain it. But it was a press that you would have 2 handles on it, and then down here you'd walk it around each station, and you'd squeeze the plates into the trusses. And then on this big floor between the door there and where I just come out of the office, there was two tables that were set up for building small trusses. This was not a real big operation. This is where you built a lot of small jobs, nothing huge. You know, you never build a 70-foot truss in here. The way that 2 tables are usually used back in '86 was you could take the 2 and make 1 out of it and come up with like a 70 or 80-foot truss if you had to. I remember when I owned my own roof truss company, I was able to do that. I could combine both tables, and we could make a 65-foot truss if we had to. It was a lot of hard work. It took a lot to get the jig all set up and ready to go. But that's what we did. So this is more of a smaller, what we call common type trusses, 2-foot overhang, 412 pitch, 512 pitch, 612 pitch. That's about as tall as we ever went. And just typical houses. Sometimes we build some what they call cathedral ceiling type trusses. When I was working here, I remember my best moment I had was one day they had asked me when I came in one morning, he says, got a question for you. Do you know how to drive semi? I says, yeah, I know how to drive semi, but I don't have a chauffeur's license. I said, when I owned my own truss plant back in '83 and '84 and '85, I owned my own semi. And yeah, I said, sure, I could drive a semi, but I don't have a chauffeur's license. I always hired guys that drive the semi. So, well, I am not going to worry about the chauffeur's license. You show up tomorrow morning and we want you to take a load to Freeport. So I says, okay, not a problem. And I wasn't afraid to do it, no big deal. The reason I had to do it is because the guy that was supposed to drive the truck, it had a crane on it to take all the trusses off. And we had some plywood on there, and building material, and a lot of other stuff that had to be craned off. We had like 3 different deliveries. Well, the guy that came with me, he didn't have a license. He lost his license, I guess, and they needed a driver real bad. So I ended up driving that, and it came in like, 4 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And we didn't get back till 8 o'clock that night. So it was a pretty long day. But I really enjoyed myself. It was something that I got to do that you normally don't get to do. And you get to watch the guy run the crane. And I never ran a crane before. When I had my roof truss plant, we would have trucks that you come up to the site and you rolled them off the truck, and they had rollers on it, and it was real easy to get them off. And that was it. We didn't have no crane. And then a lot of times we'd hire cranes to come to the job site and lift them off our truck because they're like 70 feet, and then they have to lift them off. Now, the part I'm in right now, this is where they made steel doors, and they do cutouts in the door, and you pre-order them ahead of time, and then they had big machines that cut the holes out and inserted the window in the steel door. And it would put your doorknob on and all that stuff. And they'd be ready to go. They made a lot of doors in here. So it's a pretty good size area. And then from this point here all the way back is where they made wall panels for the homes. They were all pre-assembled. If you needed a window in there, they would put the header in for the windows and header in for the doors. But they didn't install the windows or nothing like that. It was just a basic wall panel. So when I got on the job, they could put the house together a lot quicker. Nowadays, they make the whole house, and they make it so that they can get it down the road, you know, like 12 foot and supersized load. They have to be escorted, and they're called modulars. Well, they're just getting into that stuff back then, real heavily, just starting to get into modulars back in '86. And Marling up here back then was involved with, doing some small wall panel jobs, and they had a lumber yard too. They had a lumber yard connected with this, and this is what they called the Edgerton plant for Marling Building Components, and then they had the lumber yard in another town. So I'm going to take you over here and show you the saw room. This is where all the boards are cut for the roof trusses. And this wall here at that time wasn't in here, it was open. And they had sliding doors on it. Now they got it boxed in for some reason. I don't know if anything ever came in this building since Marling Building Components quit altogether in this area. I would assume that nothing came in here since that time. But yeah, you bring the forklift in this area right here, bring in your wood, and then I think on this side here is also where you bring in the wood. I see they got a smaller door in here now, but I think both sides were open. Both sides of this whole thing was open, and the saw was right down the center of this area we're looking at right now. And then they had a conveyor that come off the saw that all the fall-offs came in this room here. Well, it ain't a room at that time, it was wide open, and then it went into a dumpster. So we'll step out here and see what we got. Everything's weeds back here. An old van box that they took off a truck. Still has Marling Building Components on it. So yeah, if somebody else came in here, that wouldn't be here. So I'm sure that when they quit, this place was shut down. There's nothing here, so. Okay, take you over to where they stored the wood. This is where you go out and you pick out the boards that you needed for the job. I wasn't involved in that. We had a guy that did all the sawing. But I've done sawing for 10 years. And then after I lost the roof truss plant of my own, had to file for bankruptcy because we were undercapitalized. And I had to find a job, so I came over here and worked. So I worked here for about a year. But this is where the lumber was all kept, what's left of it. You get, it was all yellow, southern yellow pine. It was the strongest wood at that time. And then Douglas fir. And the southern yellow pine was some crooked stuff, I'll tell you. It was really hard to work with. There's a lot of junk you had to throw out or use it into webbing. We took all the junk boards and put it in the webbing, and we never wasted anything. But the thing of it is that your wood is graded. You have stud material for your webbing. That's a number 2 or a number 3, I believe it is. I might be forgetting all this stuff because it's been a lot of years. Well, we call it a number 2 or 3. Probably was a 3 for webbing. Then number 1 was grade number 1 select. That was your Douglas fir. And number 2 was your southern yellow pine, if I remember right. And everything was bought by the board feet, you know. And just to give you an idea, back in them days, a load of lumber was a full truck of lumber. In the days I remember was around $7,000 for a load of lumber. Yeah, I'm going to take you back over here again. Get you out of the sun. I'll show the camera over here so you get out of the sun a little bit. Walk backwards here. Otherwise the sun's directly in the lens. Walk while I'm talking here, I guess. You can see the building's getting pretty old. They're going to tear this down sooner or later. I was happy to find that this place was still here, because now I can pass this on to my grandkids and tell them this is where Grandpa used to work. Like I said, I don't do abandoned buildings because it's a little sketchy. You might be going on somebody's property you're not supposed to. This one here is wide open to the public. Yeah, there's no problem. They're not going to say anything from me filming out here. Along here, you don't see the evidence anymore, but I remember this used to be just packed full of trusses. Piles of brand new trusses ready to go out. And that's where we stacked them all. And then over here, those are the doors that me and, can't remember his name, I think his name was Bill. Not sure. It's been so long. Worked with a lot of guys. He was about 20 years older than I was. And I was in my 30s. And when we build them, we'd carry them out and we'd stack them on this concrete pad here. And then when we got them all stacked up, the guy that did the sawing, he would band them up and put them wherever he had to put them. And he was in charge of all that. So yeah, I see there's some tires over here. I wonder if they're any good. I doubt it. There's got to be something wrong with them. Otherwise they wouldn't be sitting here. Probably look like they're good, but they're not. Oh yeah, I can see the problem. Look at the width of that one. Width of that one is like, I don't even know what it is. Yeah, it's their shot. Their shot. Here's the loading dock of where they would bring their trucks up to the back, and they would load the doors and the pre-assembled walls. I believe that's what that was right here. Didn't pay much attention back when I was working here. Didn't have enough time to run around the area, so I would think that was what that was. Now this building here, I'm not really sure what was going on in that building. That's a good sized building. It's closed. I bet you I think I know what that was. That's where they kept all the material for all the pre-hung door material, you know, for building the steel doors and everything. So that was their storage area. I'm pretty sure that's what that was. So, okay, we'll move on. So you can see it's wide open. You don't have to worry about trespassing or nothing like that. Oh, here's something here. I remember this. This is where the little, what do they call it, radio arm saw was. You can see they got a flat backstop, goes along the table there. That's where you put your boards on, and you'd have to hand cut them. Sometimes you only needed a couple, so we'd use this spot for doing that. So, yeah. What we got over here? There's another area. Yep, there's a chop saw in here too. I don't remember this though. I may have though. It's been so long. See the tape measure? Yeah, the radio arm saw was right in that hole. And then you cut your boards and stuff in here. I think this is where they cut all the studs for the gables. You know, so you have a left and a right for every gable. There's only like, if you had 2 gables, you had 4 pieces. You know, 4 of each. So, yeah. It's kind of neat coming in here. I didn't think I'd have this kind of an opportunity. I really enjoy this coming in here and looking at my old place where I used to work. If only I could turn back time. But back then, you know what? I hated this job. I hated it. It was so boring. All you did is walk around a roof truss and you squeeze in plates all day. You know? And coming from a roof truss plant that I owned and operated, and I was on the phone all the time talking to all my brokers and stuff and taking orders and stuff over the phone and running the computer system, what we had back then. A lot going on. It was a lot of fun. And then going from that, stepping down and taking orders again was a real hard thing to do. But I had to live through it. Sometimes everybody goes through that stage. You bite off more than you can chew. You know. Just so you folks know, a typical roof truss business back in the 80s, you had the small operations like myself and this one here. Well, mine was a little bigger than this. they produced about, on the roof trusses alone, a good year would be if you could produce $1 million worth of gross sales. That was considered probably a break-even point. And if you did $1.5 million, the next 500,000, you'd make about 3%. That'd be your profit after paying all expenses. So roof trusses, there was not hardly any money in it. The only reason that I was involved with it is because I lasted for 10 years working over in Walworth County. That's where our truss plant was. It was connected with a lumberyard, and it was failing big time. And my boss had told me, he says, well, why don't you run it? He says, I'll set you up on a land contract. And he says, I'll start out, buy all your lumber, and then you can get on your own. And then I'll take you down and we'll get a loan to operate. So that's what we tried to do, and that all failed. Nobody wanted to back us because it took about $250,000 credit line in order to run an operation that size, and nobody wanted to do it. So all I had was about $22,000 of my dad's money and $20,000 of a friend's money, and we lost it all. Lost every penny. So I ended up paying my dad back little by little, and I'm glad I didn't get him involved deeper when I did, because I always took him down with me, and that'd have been a sad situation. So it all worked out. He got paid off, it was fine. I shouldn't even be talking about that stuff. This is kind of the overview of the building. That's where I came to work every day for about a year. A morning drive, about 45 minutes to get here every day. And this is kind of what it looks like. I'll show you the entrance. I can't believe that much time went by already. Seems like yesterday. Look at that. Yep, remember coming in that door every morning, saying hi to everybody, good morning, get out of my work. So folks, this is it. I hope you got an idea what I told you as a story. I wish I could have showed you the production and how they were made, but they don't do it that way anymore. As I said earlier, I might have said earlier, but I'll say it again. I can't remember what I said. But today, all these big roof truss plants that are left are on a real big scale. And even a lot of them went out of business because there's nothing left for building anymore. Now we're not in 2018. Things are starting to pop again. We're seeing a lot of homes going up again. So who knows what's going to happen. I know it's hard to find contractors to do any work for you because there's not many of them left, and the ones that are left doing it, in fact, there's probably none of them left that were back in the 80s. They're all done. And everybody now is brand new to the business, and they're used to doing remodeling and small jobs, and when you want to get them, they're too busy. So if you got an addition or something you want on your home, they don't even want to deal with it because they're too busy. Because there's a lot of work out there for a small amount of people left. So this particular building never was here, if I remember back. I don't know what that is. It's got a lot of small doors, and it looks like a loading dock for some kind of distribution. It's got to be a small distribution, if anything. I really don't know what it is. But here's something I want to check out. This salt shed. Because where I came from, my job I retired on, they're supposed to be building a salt shed. And I have no clue how it's going to turn out. They're not going to use block like this, I'm sure of that. They're going to build a pretty big salt shed, and they're talking about putting a device type roof, something similar to this. And I don't know how that's going to pan out. And it's going to be like, I'm going to guess what you're seeing here is probably 3 times the size of this. So it's going to be interesting to take a look at that when they build that. It's supposed to go up this year, but I see they haven't gotten it going yet. So that's another story. So folks, I'll let you go. Hope you enjoyed this video. I know I did, because it brings back memories. I'm glad the building was still here, that I could go and film it. Go inside, actually. Remember a lot of the stuff we did in there. All the good times we had with the fellows I worked with. And then were the good old days. That's when you enjoyed coming to work. And the co-workers were nice people, got along good. Nowadays it's totally different. I don't know what happened to this world, but it's just, it's not the same. Okay, so now I gotta ask you guys, what do you think? That's pretty cool, huh? Take you through back in the 1986, where I used to work. Give you an idea of what we all go through in our lives. Start out with a $7 an hour job and end up with a government job at the end. And that didn't even expect that to happen. And I thought it was nice to be able to come up here and film this for you guys, show you. So you guys have a great day. Please subscribe to me if you haven't already subscribed. Hit the like button. The like button means the world to me. And one thing I keep forgetting all the time is telling you guys, there's a little bell that you got to click on, and then when you click on the bell, there'll be another box that comes up, and put a check mark in the box, and that way you'll get notifications on every time I upload a video on YouTube. And I try to do one video a week, and then you'll be notified. That way you won't miss any new ones. And then check out some of my old stuff. You'll see how I started out. You know, I've been at it for about 8 years now, and I'm not getting anywhere with it. Just a hobby, okay? I'm not in it for the money. So I just do it for a hobby, and I enjoy doing it. I like bringing you guys good quality material, you know, stuff you might enjoy. So, all right, you guys have an awesome day, and we'll catch you on the next video, okay? So have a good day. Bye.